it's still a wise thing. We understand that in a country that has free speech, if you don't believe that little kid's phrase, then you're in a lot of trouble because you're going to be torturing yourself constantly. Because people say a lot of dumb shit, and it's not about them. It's about you and your own peace of mind. And I think what JP and Anthony are talking about is they're not going to let dumb people who say dumb shit upset their peace of mind.
Most times you can't do nothing about it. It's in your brain. You could talk about it. You could argue about it. You could debate about it. And I love to debate. I love to argue. So yeah, I sit there and I will try to explain to you how what you're saying is illogical. I'll make a little change in the world, starting with you. But I have to speak to you first.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I just became a member of the moth. I don't know why I still got this pink ticket. Hold up. Let me see if it goes away. Wait. Man, fuck it.
If you just became a member, it'll be calling you next time in.
No one can say he's a virgin in the moth.
We like our.
What if I was a virgin? Are you anti-virgin?
Definitely not anti-version. Yeah, I don't know. I did. How are we going?
Hey,
Hey.
I wish I was a virgin, honestly.
Do you really?
I'm a born again virgin.
Honestly,
I don't know like where you get a certificate for that, but like if there are cobwebs down there, then maybe that's enough.
That's what we call the manifestation of a new hymen row.
Oh wow.
They're not cobwebs, okay?
They're not cobwebs?
No, I'm manifesting, okay?
Wait, is that even possible? I don't know. Like the hymen.
No.
Okay. I'm like, there's no way.
Hymens are not grow back.
Even if a girl hasn't been touched down there for like 40 years, I cannot imagine
It does not grow back. Once the cherry is popped, it's popped.
This is vaginal rejuvenation. That's what Cardi B was getting done.
Well,
Yes.
that's just tightening the muscles. That's a muscular thing. Now, I suppose if they wanted so much shut, they could. But regardless of that, I encourage this discussion of vaginas wholeheartedly, and we should explore this more.
Nobody wants to be an Oprah Smith.
That's nasty.
That is pretty nasty.
Way to go, Alan.
I just ate, guys. Come on, what's going on here?
What can you have shows about her vagina? Jesus. Yeah, Jake, that's exact.
Kristen's actually giving us some education on hymens in the chat. If anybody would like to take a personal one-on-one session with Kristen to be able to learn some more hymens, she's available for consultation. Thanks, Kristen.
Too thick to penetrate?
No, hymens are obstacles.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me just say, they haven't met me, you know?
Well, oh my God. Well, let me just tell you, the manifestation of the new hymens is very real. Okay? I will never call them cobwebs.
Are we talking about hymens in the reference of like football or the other hymen?
The other hymen. We're in the mud. Jay Pissy.
Wow.
We're in the muff.
I'm just messing with you. I know it's coming.
Morning derisive. I don't know if I said that to you yet or not, but there was convo going on. I didn't want to step over people.
Hi, good morning. First time caller, long time listener.
Nice to have you back.
Hey, Ron. Hey, everyone.
So I
I'm
was thinking
so
of
glad.
some conversation. For me, it was last night. Surrounding guns and mass shootings and stuff like that. It was actually a really good conversation. So thanks for putting that together and holding that space. It was actually pretty cool. I like the idea of actually bringing in some alternate views.
Yes.
Like to be able to, have a conversation.
Yeah. I think it would be great. Yosh is such a fabulous speaker on the topic, and he's very, very pro 2A, and he's extremely knowledgeable about the laws and the Constitution. That having some people that are really can very intellectually have the conversation. AR, potentially looking at like AR bands and stuff again, like just getting them kind of geeking out together and Yosh is the kind of person I think he could have that conversation with anybody and it not go upside down. Yeah.
Like he and Roger sound like that. They fit in the same bed. Different views. Look, I mean, I'm getting to people who are on literally opposite sides of the fence on this, can make for great fireworks, but it's the meat in between that really makes it an interesting, conversation where, there's concession that can be made that you don't have to be completely 2A.
That's what just happened, Ro. That's what just happened with racism. This happened.
Yeah. JB might possibly know maybe another person or two that because he's very staunchly in the more gun law camp, and Stilgar and Yosh, I think, and Mojo, if Mojo actually came back, I think that would be a great combination of fewer restrictions, and then we just need 2 or 3 others that support the other camp and are knowledgeable enough to have, to make the arguments. I'd love to sit and listen to them just, ping pong back and forth.
That Sig would be a good one for sure on one side of it.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm sorry if I cut through. It was either you cutting out or me cutting out, but I may have interjected there for a brief second.
Oh.
No, not at all. Well, let's try and make it happen. Like, get a few people in here. That'd be cool. Grab a few names. Go into healthy debates about it, maybe. Whichever. Look, I mean, from Australians' perspective, where we don't have the Second Amendment. There's nothing in our constitution about guns, I have to say. And it's a different history. Australia has a very different to America when it comes to guns, and also Civil War as well. So there's some understanding, but in the culture in America is a very different thing in Australia. So when there was an amnesty for the guns to be handed in, it wasn't as much of a big deal as it would be in America. But I'm sort of leaning in the direction. Look, given that I have a of understanding to why there is a social push and a cultural issue in terms of having guns, like from this perspective, it's like, why do you need them? Like, we don't have them. The only time Australians have got guns is like if you're in the outback, you're on a farm, you need to be able to cull off some kangaroos or get off some bulls, whatever it might be. Then
fine. It's necessary. But in terms of self-protection, it is not a thing. It never has been a thing in Australia. And it's never been part of our culture. So we just look and say, well, hang on, look at all these shootings that are happening in America. And unfortunately, it is just what we see in America. We see the mass shootings of innocent kids in schools and stuff like that. We're going, hang on, surely there's got to be a way of minimising this, make restrictions a hell of a lot stronger so that guns don't get circulated as much. There's incredibly stringent rules and laws, pertaining to the to possession of getting firearms and so forth. And obviously, you're going to have less instances of these happening as well. Anyway, that's broad.
Two things. One, I was going to say, you do need guns in Australia because kangaroos are like deer. They've gone to prison. And they're hard asses. And secondly, it's all about the Second Amendment. 1,000% Second Amendment is the problem. There's absolutely no way we can get anywhere remotely close to what Australia is doing because of our Second Amendment. We have it in print, and it's just general enough that it can endlessly be argued. And because it exists, guns are guaranteed to us. And because guns are guaranteed to us, and because we let the cat out of the bag and brought out the same guns that the U.S. Marine Corps uses for everybody and their brother to buy one, there's no going back. There is no discussion to be had, Rollo. Honestly, there's no going back. There's not. The only discussion that could take place is stop selling more of them, of that kind. That's literally the only thing. There's nothing else that can take place.
Yeah, look, I mean, in terms of guns and kangaroos and shit like that, look, they can be a bit scary sometimes. Yeah, true. They're needed. They are needed, and they're utilised by farmers out in the outback and countryside and so forth, because there's a purpose for them there, and it's a practical purpose of it. In terms of the restrictions, it's the same, I guess. Look, not everybody has the right to be able to drive a car, but you can get a license to be able to have one. And in order to be able to keep your license, you need to be able to follow certain rules. I don't see why those rules and that type of philosophy couldn't be applied, and be it slowly over a period of time, right, to stem the culture somewhat, not to change the culture completely, but to be able to stem the culture somewhat. Just the idea of people feeling, right, the need, not the want, but the need to be able to have a gun for
that I was listening to on a podcast, a media criticism podcast the other day, which is, I thought was pretty funny. It's this consulting group think tank called The Third Way, which is described as a Clinton-esque Democratic consulting group that is trying to rein in the negative perception of the Democratic Party. They released a list of words that Democrats should stop saying because they alienate the general American public, and they say that by using these phrases, they're fueling the Republicans and Donald Trump. So it's like 4 categories of lists of words. If you guys want to hear.
I'm curious.
Okay, I'll take that as consensus permission to go ahead.
Right. Feel free. Let's try this out and see how it feels.
Okay, so there's
We'll
4.
We'll tap on maybe the gun topic another point in time. That's fine with me.
Thank you. You're very generous. So there's, I think, 4 categories. So the first is called therapy speak. And it says, these words say, I'm more empathetic than you, and you're callous, and you're hurting other people's feelings. So the words are privilege, violence, as in environmental violence, dialoguing, othering, triggering, microaggression, progressive stack, centering, safe space, holding space, and body shaming. And there's seminar room language, subverting norms, system of oppression, critical theory, cultural appropriation, postmodernism, Overton window, heuristic, and existential threat to climate, the planet, democracy, or the economy. Then there's organizer jargon, radical transparency, small d democracy, barriers to participation, stakeholders, the unhoused, food insecurity, housing insecurity, people who immigrated. And there's gender orientation correctness, birthing person / inseminated person, which I had never heard, pregnant people, chest feeding, cisgender, dead naming, heteronormative, patriarchy, LGBTQIA+. Then there's the shifting language of racial constructs, Latinx, BIPOC, allyship, intersectionality, minoritized communities. Finally, explaining away crime, justice involved, carceration, incarcerated people, and involuntary confinement. So it says the conclusion is think about conversations with persuadable voters in your life, friends, family, coworkers, and consider whether the use of this language above would help or hurt your case. Recognize that much of the language above is a red flag for a sizable segment of the American public, and it's not because they're bigots, but because they fear cancellation, doxing, or trouble with HR if they make a mistake. Anyway, it goes on.
This is from the Democratic Party to the Democratic.
It's from a Democratic consulting group.
Yeah, it sounds 1,000% accurate in my take. It's just it's full of things that we're tired of hearing. Really not. But as an outsider, that person's right on.
First of all, that entire list just, I need to go to my safe space.
Go take a shower, Alice. Go take a shower.
Just hearing those words, just send me over the edge. What's interesting, though, is they're saying don't use these words or phrases, but they're not saying change the underlying philosophy that these phrases have come to represent. So it's if correctly derisive. Is that the thing? In other words, we still believe these things. We're just advising you not to use them if you are trying to, and that's clear. When you're persuadable voters. So that also implies that, well, there's just some people that which is not an unreasonable thing to say is, look, there's some people you're never going to convince, so don't bother with them. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that qualifies them as Clinton-esque Democrats either, because a Clinton-esque Democrat, and I guess as someone who voted for him, I can tell you, you cannot use those words. I'm still gonna pick up on whether or not you believe in the underlying philosophies.
I had never heard inseminated person before to describe a pregnant woman. That sounds even more dehumanizing than birthing person.
I actually think that's very liberating. When I see a woman and I say she's been inseminated, it's just like, wow. This inseminated person, it sounds like so, gosh, the patriarchal standards of our society have been removed.
What about inseminated men? Like after the act of coitus, what do we do about those guys?
It's funny. The podcaster I was listening to who originally brought up that list, he's like, well, that applies to gay guys too.
Yeah. What's funny is, and you just said it, Dope, that if you actually walked up to a woman who was pregnant and said, you must be so happy to be an inseminated person. when she was done pummeling you.
Congratulations on being inseminated.
It's like it's the horses, and yes, now as women, or even dogs for that matter. And yes,
Sorry, my bad.
no, go ahead.
I mean, it has been used with women, like artificial insemination is a thing that they use to women. But it do sound odd the way that it's used, but it has been used to women for a long time.
Yeah, but I would say even then it came, that's the clinical term. But then once they become pregnant,
It's the past tense part. It's the past tense part that's problematic.
once they become inseminated, we don't say, well, how's your insemination working going? Do you have post-insemination morning sickness? But it's hilarious.
Okay, the men in this stage are turning into children now. I regret.
Well, it's so funny, derisive. That's,
I'm teasing.
To be more serious, though, I think it's good that more Democrats are realizing that this type of stuff is just cringeworthy. And I love being proved right. Like a year ago, before the election, there was like a lot of Democrats on this app saying, "Oh, the right focusing on the woke stuff. They're not in touch with the voters. Voters don't care about that we say dumb shit like that." Well, I mean, obviously, the average person is not going to be thinking about that as much as they'll be thinking about gas prices or the economy. But when they see a purple-haired woman with her armpits unshaved talking about, pregnant men and how we need to watch our language because we're insulting people because we understand basic biology, people are not going to get down with that, It's like if the Republican Party was filled with a bunch of Westboro Baptist church members, and that was the general perception of the Republican Party, even if the economy is doing great, people would not necessarily be the biggest fans of the Republican Party. It's just logic. I don't understand why it took so long for them to understand. And now I'm happy that they do understand.
well, but again, Dope, I would say what the focus of that list is simply on the words. They're still adhering to the underlying beliefs or political positions that those particular words represent.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, so they still believe that what they're saying is, well, we still believe that a pregnant woman is simply an inseminated person, or that a mother feeding her child, that we should refer to them as a chest feeder. Everybody, including both men and women, can breastfeed under our definition of what a man and a woman is, but just don't use those words so that we can convince them that we are right.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that they're changing their entire philosophy. I'm just saying they understand the optics of it is trash, which they were only 7 months ago.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. It's just essentially, it's the greatest blow. The Democrats, of course, will say that they're for women's rights on abortion, but when it comes to a biological male competing in women's sports, that they were this might be something we can pass sometime.
Yeah, this is, there's going to be a big market for this kind of pragmatic strategy for the Democrats in the next election because they just need to work on their electability, and that's, I'm surprised it hasn't happened soon.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the thing, though. It's just essentially is that the best way Trump can, be favorable is that if he doesn't want to have struggles in the midterm, is to not make such a big deal about the Epstein files. And that's the thing. It's just I hate how he's making the Democrats' jobs, much easier for them. I think that the Democrats, just need to stop playing the typical at least we're not this good. We're not Donald Trump. We're not this person who's racist, because it's like people don't care about the fact that Trump is a racist. They like the fact is they see the economy is going into the shitter. So
I'm still back, and the whole kangaroo are deers that went to prison.
I forget.
I'm still chuckling about that. I'm sorry. Also, Alan, I do have a question. I do have a sincere request. I would love to get a list of those terms.
Oh no, it was derisive who has the list.
Oh, sorry. Or direct. With just however I can.
If you do something, yep.
If you do, okay, so the consulting group is called The Third Way, and if you do a search for The Third Way memo, word policing leaks or something like that, you'll find it.
Great, thank you.
If you could put a link in the chat, that'd be great.
No, but if you can, I'm not doing it.
I'd be happy to. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I was going to ask Ro, have you heard about the emu wars in Australia? I never would have known about, except for the what is it? Something. It's called like abbreviated history. They're animated things. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's something that Australians don't really know about. But Americans seem to love to pick the Australians are beaten by the emus. Okay, so it's almost impossible to be able to eradicate. And it's basically a story to be able to make sure that Americans have a level of fear such that they're perturbed from being able to come to Australia and propagate over here. It's like the thing that we put out in our PR towards America, saying, "Oh yeah, look, too many sharks, too many spiders, snakes, but the deadliest of this, that, and the other, and don't forget the drop bears, that animals that jump out of trees and attack people." So it keeps the Americans away, and that works. So we're just going to keep with that. We're going to keep with that story for the time being.
Well, the whole funny thing is that there was that short story. There was an emu infestation, and they were attacking crops. So the army said, "Oh, okay, we'll shoot them." And they had machine gun. Oh, let's just put up some fences, and that'll solve the problem. And it did. But when Mike put the emus in that category,
Ryan, the fear of animals is real over there. When I was in Darwin for a couple of years, and two times it would stick out my mind. One was that I had one of those frilled lizards that lived right outside the door of the place I lived, and he was always up in the tree. And sometimes he would jump out of the tree and chase me on purpose, which was fucking ridiculous. They're super neat. No, I know, but when he chases you, I mean, I wasn't even afraid he was going to hurt me, but I would still run around and he would chase me, which was funny. And then the other thing, I was at a picnic one time, and you kind of could see down like a grassway thing where everybody had these picnic blankets out. There's a couple different people had blankets out. And this monitor lizard, it was probably 5 feet long, came walking through the picnic area. And people would the furthest people away from me, like they kind of looked over and saw him, and they just kind of very casually finished the bite in their mouth, and then
they stood up and they kind of took their blanket and they moved it about 10 feet to the side, and the monitor lizard went walking by, and then they just came back and set the blanket back down and kept eating, and the next people were like, okay, it's time for us, and they picked up and moved their blanket down the side, and everybody just let the monitor lizard walk right through the picnic area, which is really funny. They didn't react at all. They're just like, oh, it's just typical.
Exactly. But like to an outsider, you look at a monitor lizard, which is 5-6 feet long. It's like shit. Run, okay? Jump on anything, climb a tree.
It looks like a Komodo dragon, right? We all know how nasty those fuckers are.
Yeah, but I don't know which is worse though, because a lot of people don't know. I had a roommate in college who spent a summer in Japan or something. They have cockroaches that are like, I don't know, 7-8 inches long. And to me, that would just, that's truly, I'll take that lizard over a cockroach crawling around in the middle of the night. Jesus.
Alan, they have those as pets in Japan. So in Japan, there was a department store by me, and when you walked in, they had a display, and they had these little plastic containers, and they were full of giant. Each one had like one roach, you could buy it, or they had the beetles with the horns that like push each other off sticks or whatever. They had those too, and then they had small turtles, like miniature turtles, and you could just buy them as pets when you went in there. And people would buy those cockroaches and like hold them in their hands and have them as pets.
It's just so fucking weird when you hear about these stories in Asia, and especially through Japan as well. But look, honestly, I actually feel a hell of a lot safer being surrounded by deadly animals, spiders, snakes, box jellyfish, and sharks, rather than being in America with guns and Trump.
That's true. When I was in Darwin, I went on a tour down the Adelaide River, the one that has the jumping truck crocodiles. I did that thing. And a kilometer or whatever in the world. And so they said if you fell in the water, you get eaten by a crocodile. And if you didn't get eaten by a crocodile, you would get killed by a snake. And that's how they prefaced us going out. And they're like, you can't trust crocodiles. You can't trust them at all. Like that's just the way they are, right? And I was like, okay. So we go, and as we go walking out on the dock to the boat we're going to take to go on this thing, there's this crocodile floating in the water right next to the dock, just watching. And everybody kind of pauses, and they're like, oh, don't worry about him. That's Charlie. And it's like, everybody's like, what? So I think they set it up that way because they know Charlie hangs out there.
Yeah, I've got pets for these things as we go along. Guys, I just want to say it's really nice that, we're all enjoying being. It's nice to be able to share them off with everybody. So, keep on coming back. Did Moons heading off to sleep? Have yourself a great day, everyone.
Good night, Rob.
Bye-bye.
I'm stuck. Hate work.
But it's Friday. It's Friday.
And it's a long weekend, y'all.
I'm excited about that.
You want to get more coffee? Want to have a coffee break?
I just made my second cup.
I'm gonna go make me some in just a second. I have to finish gospel speaks.
I invite everybody to watch. I think it's the first or second episode of the third season of Married with Children, and Al Bundy's testament to Labor Day. It is a hilarious episode. I think it's on the Roku channel, or might even be YouTube, if you want to truly understand the meaning of Labor Day. Really, nobody? Al Bundy is my spirit guide.
That, honestly, Alan, I don't find that at all surprising. Not even a little bit.
Well, what's funny is that, remember, first of all, the entire Fox channel empire started. Their first two shows were The Simpsons and Married with Children. So you can thank, and that show went on for 13 seasons, I think it was. I forget how many seasons. So two shows were the financial successes they needed to create the Fox channel, which then spawned Silver Spoons and what was the one with Michael J. Fox? I mean, there was all these Family Ties. There were all these squeaky clean family shows, and the producers, Fox was the Fox network as it was like, no, this is too hard around the edges, and they were like, yeah, everybody else is doing that. We need to do something different. But so many, especially when you talk about what marriage is like, so many men relate to that. And related to him specifically, because it's the idea of and this is, and a lot of comedians like Bill Burr and Louis C.K. Especially, which is a man who is tortured by not only his own choices, but his inability to do anything about the choices he's made. So, Peg was the high school, was like the high school prom queen, and him being the star of the football team, of course they ended up together. And then everything that happened because of that choice, he's tortured by it every day, so it really was. It's a really funny show from that viewpoint. But you get lines like, him walking through the door and, Peg says, "Did you miss me, Al?" And he says, "With every shotgun blast so far, dear."
I don't know. I've kind of been sad recently in the last probably 15 years on you don't see those wholesome family, like nuclear family TV shows anymore. And I think it's kind of sad sometimes. I feel like a lot of the shows anymore, really aim to kind of demasculate the men. I don't like it.
Oh my God, I was just thinking that. And it really put a bad taste in your mouth about marriage. I tried to figure out what it was about it that I just didn't find very funny. And of course, in my mind, I don't think that's funny at all.
Well, that was a trope. Yeah, that was a 90s trope. I mean, it's definitely still continues, but it's not something new. I mean, it's, the whole...
Yes, the thing that's so dangerous about it is that it makes it funny. It makes it, it kind of tries to normalize it, whether that was the intention or not. And that's kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, every 90s sitcom husband is some doofus, and he's always wrong, and he needs his wife to set him straight. He's sort of like a man-child. That's just literally every single sitcom of the 90s.
And there's nothing funny about that, frankly. Because people are divorcing people left and right because of that issue. It's real. Well, that's why it's not as funny anymore.
Yeah, even Cosby had that in that. I mean, he was an obstetrician. I mean, one of the most demanding, specialties in medicine, and yet when it came to the family, well, he was still the doofus of the family.
I think
No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think that most of the time, though, I think he played it like, well, I didn't know. Yes, he did. You know what I mean? Yeah. And his wife called him out like, yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah. But, it goes back to, and even the actor, I forget his name, on Good Times, it was always, I forget the characters' names now, but I remember watching it as a kid and thinking, why is the mother overriding the father? I mean, things like, there was one episode where JJ had an opportunity to make money, and serious money, with his art. And the mother said, no, you can't, for some obscure reason. And the actor who played the father, complained about it then, and to this day comments on his character, and how even, that was in the 70s, that the father was marginalized. But yeah, I mean, there was another thing, like, even in Friends, Ross was the actual smart person in that group. And he was the one who was actually a father, who actually had responsibilities. And he was constantly berated as the stupid one. So I agree with your sadness.
Yeah, I don't like it. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like there was a lot more balance in the 90s. I feel like as time has gone on, I feel like more and more and more. Anytime, if there's a dad represented in the family situation, they just do kind of make him adult. Like,
yeah,
like he's a moron, and
I will say Blackish. I stopped watching after like the third season mainly because we got rid of cable. But that show, and I think the actor Anthony, I forget his name, I think it was him. He was not going to be made the buffoon. I think they were both, the mother and father in that, are both equally smart, and they both equally have their foibles as well.
yeah.
So that it's and I noticed that because she's a doctor, and I think she's an ER doctor, if I remember. So they showed scenes of her, at least early on, like at work saving somebody's life. But then her character also goes through, like there were episodes where she explored, because she's half black, half white. And exploring, when she was a teenager, she went full-blown Valley Girl, for example, and exploring that side of her personality, and then talking to her father about it, and like, you raised me this way. And it's, so there were some really good episodes with that too.
Yeah.
And same for him too.
I missed Necro. He sent a comment in the chat. If we see him back in here, y'all remind me to address his comment. I'm not really sure I understand. What are your thoughts on anti-discrimination laws against trans people?
Depending on what his political perspective is, he might be framing that to say laws that, exclude trans people in sports or things like that, or exclude trans people from locker rooms of their choosing or something.
Okay. I understand what he's asking me.
He could be also talking about the fact that transgenders are not a federally protected
class
group of people, and maybe some states, I don't know nowadays if they are not, like in California, but in general, yeah, it would be about that federal protection of class and seeing whether or not we thought that they needed it,
Yeah.
Well,
That's how I would take it.
Didn't, I forget which title it is, but didn't Biden expand Title 4 or Title 9 or whichever one it is to include transgender people. And I think Trump just removed them. So, so it may be related to that. But by all means, let's continue to speculate on what he meant.
Smart ass.
I mean, I just wanted to be prepared to answer. So I was like, I'm not really sure if he's asking if I think there should be anti-discrimination laws for trans people, or if he's asking if I think the laws that don't provide them the protection are unfair. I'm not really sure which way that's going. So, all right. Oh, well, I can ask him for clarification.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Hey, Serendipity.
Good morning, Nana.
Good morning.
Hi. Oh, they're slippers.
Good morning. Good morning. Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday.
You like your Jet 2 holidays, slippers.
Wait, slippers, what is that from? I see it overlaid on videos, or on ratchet videos, or what's the origination of Jet 2 holiday? Where's it?
So it's an actual it's an actual song, and then somebody just overlaid it with the flight attendant discount announcement. So there actually are two separate artists attached to this whole Jet 2 holiday that we see on social.
We like embracing our inner stewardess in this house.
I think there should be a national push to bring back the word.
Flight attendant, stewardess, whatever. Is it like politically incorrect to say stewardess anymore?
Probably is.
I beg many pardons.
Steward. Excuse me, stewardess. Can I have some peanut?
The liquor's in back. I'm telling you what, all the liquored people came up last night. All at the same time. It's just like everybody decided to pop the top on the bottle and get snookered and come to the muff. Like, it was this giant, massive collaboration of incoherent drunk people.
Well, in all fairness, there are some muffs that you need to be liquored up before you come to them. But that's another topic.
Oh my gosh, Alan. Yeah, I've literally, I went from, we had a room with really good topical conversation, and all of a sudden I felt like I had started speaking a different language, and I would make a comment and somebody would go off on this tangent about something that and I'm just like, wait, what? What just happened here? It was crazy.
Sir Katie! I missed you, sir.
Yeah, it was very strange. Doc, I haven't seen Doc in here at all. He showed up.
Oh, dude, he's the OG drunk on Clubhouse.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
He's
fucking ignored that dude stays drunk.
He's like the CH representation.
I don't know. Bruce is definitely a little more entertaining as a drunk than Doc is. Doc's more on the obnoxious scale.
Yeah, but Bruce still works. Bruce is still mobile. He can get where the hell he needs to go. He's not sitting up in his house, making pyramids, beer cans, and shooting guns. So I would say that Bruce is more of a functional drunk, but Doc is a mess.
Yeah,
that to me was like, what the hell is this?
Doc has been through some shit. Back to your point earlier about serendipity, about that.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah.
Dude, I had some conversations with him in the early years where we went in deep into his military experience, and he's literally like the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, like where people are holding their guts in, like the medics on the battlefield are holding people's guts in. He literally did that, and he did it for a solid 4 years in combat zone and totally survived it, which is pretty shocking.
He mentioned like maybe a month ago, someone was talking about some femoral artery or something, and he was saying, oh yeah, there were times, you have to sit there and pull it out and then squeeze it, otherwise the guy just bleeds out. I mean, just casually talking about it. But that was a scene in Black Hawk Down where the medic is like, he's trying to get at that artery, and he knows if he can't get it, the guy's going to die, and it slips out of his hand, and the guy is like, and he's like, yeah, I got it, everything's fine, telling the guy that, knowing that no, the guy's going to die. Yeah, it's dark, fucked up.
I think his illusions of grandeur and sort of drunk pathology fantasy is sort of mixed together, and I think that about 90% of his military stories are either fabricated or extremely embellished. That's the sense I can.
It's really hard to say because he definitely served in combat, and you definitely see action as far as you definitely do that as a medic in war. There's no question about it. I agree. I agree. Knowing him as his personality, I kind of agree. The problem is you really don't know what's real and what's not. No.
Yeah, but I'm just still a pathological liar when I see one.
You know what visual I get every time I see Doc, which makes it really hard for me to take him seriously. Even though sometimes he can be perfectly fine, but sometimes he can really, really annoy me. But I can't get this visual out of my head. It has just followed him for years and years and years for me. Like, I see him, and I always go back to one of the first times I heard him in a room talk about his dick being the size of a beer can.
Point blank example.
He's full of shit.
I just cannot, I'm just like,
You could have waited until I got to my office and had at least a bagel. At least a bagel.
Oh my God.
It's Friday.
guys, sometimes outrageous things stick with people.